Hey everyone, David C. Anderson and
Seth V.
coming at you from the KnifeCenter. And between Seth and I, we have handled thousands of knives in the last year. But what are the ones we actually carry and use? Our top 5 are coming right up.
Well, David, the year is almost over.
Indeed. In fact, when this video goes up, there will only be hours left in 2024. And this is kind of a video that goes out to the folks out there who ask us for pocket checks here. Like, what are we actually carrying? You know, with all the stuff that we have seen over the years, or over, you know, yeah, well, over the years.
Over the year, yeah.
You know, our preferences take hold, and this is going to show you, I think, what we really focused on and used in the past year, our top 5 here. So I think I'll go ahead and start with some of mine because I think they're going to be pretty obvious to folks out there. So let's get them out of the way up front.
Okay, sure.
And I'll introduce them both at the same time. We'll talk about them. The MKM Pocket Tango, my first production fixed blade design to hit the market, and the prototypes for the CJRB Maximal, the first folding knife of mine that will be hitting the market very soon. I carried these a lot, as you might expect. The Pocket Tango especially, I mean, this has been a project. It came out, or was unveiled in January at SHOT Show this past year in 2024, and it had been a 2-year project up to that point. And I'd had some prototypes to carry, but like this really found a lot of pocket time for me.
Yeah, it became real this year.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, the pocket sheath on these works great. I mean, you can see, especially once they're nice and broken in, it's easy to get the knife in and out of the pocket without the sheath coming with it, and it's just so nice to use.
This one has some very authentic wear on the micarta here. You can see
Yeah.
the natural kind of oils and change to the color that happens.
Yeah, that's something you can't really cheat either. Like
No.
that. What's funny is, like, if you flip it over, it's almost opposite. Or is, oh, never mind.
Might be another one. There were many blade shapes of
Yeah,
Pocket
so
Tango.
three standard ones. You got the Nesmuck, you got the Lamb's Foot, or reverse Tonto for Thomas over there, and the KnifeCenter exclusive Sheep's Foot blade, which is still in stock at this point. Standard blade shapes, including the exclusive versions with the red burlap handles of these, are coming back in stock. They work great. The Magna Cut on these blades has held up really well. I have never even sharpened this one. I've stropped it a few times, but this one has never gotten a sharpen. I did take one of the other ones I have, and I put a 17-degree bevel per side on it, so that technically got sharpened since I reprofiled it, and that edge has held up pretty well too. But I only carried that a little bit. I've been carrying the standard right out of the box, not specially prepped one right here, standard factory edge on it.
Yeah.
And it's only needed stropping, and the edge has gone really nicely.
Yeah, these have all had really nice symmetrical edges on them. Every one I've handled. The one that I used a bit this year was the sheep's foot version. I must admit, this is my favorite blade shape. The Nesmuck is just, to me, the perfect kind of expression of your design. You tell me if I'm
well, you know,
off base with that one.
I have a thing for them after all. So the only thing I did mod, I put a gold pivot ring on this, or gold ring on this one.
That looks nice.
But yeah, Seth got to play with one of the prototype sheep's foot for a while, so he did use that for a bit.
Yeah.
You got to, I threw one of the prototype Maximals your way to kind of test out for a little bit as well.
Yeah.
And
I'm really excited about this.
I am really excited about this too. It's a great 3-inch EDC folder. The story of it in a nutshell is basically, over the years, I've developed a list of things I look for in knives in order to make a go-to knife recommendation to people.
We've had a lot of conversations about that.
We have a bit on the channel, and you're going to hear about it a bit more in the coming months as this knife actually gets released, which is very, very soon. So yeah, like it's a list of things I want a knife to have so that I can know. Someone can come up to me and say, hey, I need a knife. I don't need to ask any follow-up questions. I can say, if I've got like 2 seconds to make a recommendation, I say, hey, go get this knife. And you'll be pretty well taken care of.
Give me a knife to buy.
Go get that one.
Yeah.
And there's so many like truly great knives that come so close to fitting my list. that it's like frustrating. Like things are so close, and they don't hit it. So in typical, boneheaded, thick-skulled fashion, earlier this year I went, wait a minute, I get to design knives now. I've got contacts. Maybe I should just shut up and design it myself.
Yeah.
And it's not to take anything away from some of the great knives out there. In fact, I've got one in the bag we'll take a look at here shortly, but they just didn't hit all of the criteria I was looking for. And we'll get into more of that soon, but it's a great 3-inch EDC folder. The crossbar lock is great. I mean, the lockup they've managed to achieve on this is there's
super solid.
Virtually no play, and yet it's still excellent action. Snappy, like it has got a good detent as well, which is very hard to pull off with a crossbar lock, and CJRB is killing it. And part of the criteria on that list of mine is I want something that's affordable enough, appealing to the knife people like me, but also affordable enough that the non-knife person and every man can afford it.
Right.
These are going to be $50, $49.99, I believe is going to be the retail price on these, which is fantastic.
Yeah. I think price has to be one of the check marks for a knife you can recommend to anybody, because especially if they're not into knives, if they're not accustomed to spending, really luxury purchase money on a pocket tool, people really balk at knives that are over $100, over $200. So price becomes a feature. At that
absolutely.
point.
And it was in response to, like, the Pocket Tango even, that's $170 is what they start at, and you and I think of them as a pretty decent value for what you're getting.
Totally agreed. Made in Italy, Magna Cut.
The levels of refinement you get on it, but then we have to take a step back and realize we're not like the average person in this regard, and a lot of you watching this channel probably aren't either. $170 is still a good, it's a big chunk of change. That's not nothing, even for you and me. So for the folks, I want people that are out there to be able to get something of mine at a price they can afford. And that's why I went with them. I went with CJRB because I like Russell. I like working with Russell, and I knew they could make the knife. And on top of that, I knew they could make the knife I wanted at the price it needed to be.
Yeah, CJRB is great. I really like the way that this crossbar lock feels. Like you mentioned, the kind of detent of it. It has a distinct snappiness. It really pops open. It's very satisfying, and it's a little different from other crossbar locks in the market. I mean, it operates more or less the same, but
it's got a very distinct feel to it.
Yeah, it's doing its own little thing, and I like the personality that they've given the lock.
Definitely.
And I like the personality of this design. I mean, yeah, like I said, we've had conversations about the default knife recommendation and what that should be for people. Affordable, under 3-inch blade, quality stainless steel, ergonomics that work for a number of grips and different situations and use cases. And yeah, I mean, that sounds like a simple set of requirements, but when you really break it down, try to find something that does all of that, there are only a handful of designs that I think are even really in consideration. And I'm excited that this is going to be out there for people to give a shot.
Yeah, real soon. I mean, the handle was kind of blades. I always say blades are easy, handles are hard to get right, and the key to this working for a wide variety of hand shapes is it's a small knife. It's a 3-inch blade. It's not a big knife, but the handle has to support some bigger grips when it needs to cut bigger, and that's where some of my previous default knife recommendations have not quite hit the same marks. Like way back in the day, when I first developed this list of criteria, the Delica was my go-to.
Sure.
And this is a number of years ago, but they've gone up in price recently. And the handle there is pretty good in this regard, but it's not really a hand-filling grip, even though it has a good bit of length to it so that bigger grips can work. It didn't quite hit what I was looking for. But ambidextrous quality is another one of the parts of it too. Like again, righties, lefties, or even if they're righty and want to carry on the left side, it's got to work both ways. So.
Yeah, definitely.
You'll hear more about it soon. I won't belabor the point too much, but I have used this one for almost constantly for the last 3 months since I got the prototypes in house, and It's great. The RPM 9 steel is capable for sure, especially in that budget price range. Yeah.
Yeah, the contouring is really
done well.
nice. There's so much about this design that works. It's been fun for me to be on the periphery of this happening and just to get to see the prototypes coming in, offer feedback, do some testing. I feel like a real beta tester here.
Well, I'm glad you find it enjoyable because sometimes I feel like I can drone on and use Seth as a bit of a sounding board sometimes.
No, I think the ability to give honest feedback on a design that's still in progress is kind of a privilege. It's been cool to see it come in,
thank you.
and for you to listen to my little suggestions. And there's hardly anything that actually ended up changing from prototype to final version, but like those last 3%.
Yeah, there was like one minor major tweak that. Some of the handle size is getting just a skosh longer than the one right here. That was about it. Really minor tweaks. They nailed the prototypes so nicely.
It's cool though, because often knives come in, they land on the table. We have our own little preferences and critiques and ideas about them, but they never go anywhere. They're just like, well, I wish they did this.
I wish they did this. So.
Well, now
I have that opportunity now, so I need to, I'm embarrassed that it took me so long to think of doing that, though, of doing this, or designing this particular knife to fit that list of criteria that I have. So many things come so close, and like really good knives, but just don't quite hit the list,
Yeah, what you were looking for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What I'm looking for you, basically.
Right.
So these two right here, I would say probably got, between the two of them, 80 to 85% of my pocket time this year. I extensively carried both of these for primarily. So those are definitely my most carried knives this year.
Sweet.
But enough about my first things. Like I said, we'll get these out of the way up front because they're obvious and we got to talk about it. But Seth, what are some of the things you carried? Was there a theme to the sort of things you carried this year?
No, not even a little bit. I was having fun going all over this year. Let's start with this one.
Okay.
So this is the Kershaw Tilt, and it took me a while to be comfortable carrying this knife because of how special this is. It's legitimately a pretty rare knife. This was a numbered run.
You got it at a blade show this year.
I think they made only 100.
Was it that few?
Maybe 300. Not many.
A small run for their 50th anniversary, Kershaw's 50th
yes.
anniversary.
It was rare enough that I had to literally win a lottery to be able to buy it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't just win it. I won the chance to pay for it at the show.
That's sort of a testament to like showing that we are like really knife guys and knife people. Like you didn't get this at an employee discount.
No.
Like KnifeCenter didn't even get any of these knives at all to sell. And Seth liked it so much that he put his name out there on the line to get one.
Yeah. One of the things I like to collect, or what draws me towards knives, isn't just how good they are at cutting, although that is like the fundamental thing, the thing that ultimately I'm most interested in, but also like the stories they tell about the people who made them. And for me, this represents what Kershaw is truly capable of. It represents kind of this really cool progress I've seen from them in the last couple of years. Like you talked about it, I think, on the last video or two, calling Kershaw, one of the brands to watch in 2025.
Absolutely.
I agree completely. I have been quietly kind of cheerleading them on in the background and seeing them take steps to just make incredible new knives. They've come so far and they've had new hits to show for it, like the Bel Air, the best selling new knife of the year.
Hands down.
Fantastic value. They are giving people what they want while still maintaining a really cool, recognizable brand identity.
Yeah.
Everything that gets me excited about product design and knife making and American manufacturing is happening with Kershaw knives, and the Tilt to me represents everything about that.
Yeah, to piggyback just slightly off one of the points you made, like it definitely feels like there's a Kershaw identity in design where I think some of the imported competition doesn't necessarily have that sort of cohesive design language or cohesive familial feel.
Yeah.
Kershaw definitely has it. And like this does so much, this knife.
Yeah, the closer you look at it, you can see like it's the silhouette is dead simple. It's
and iconic too.
Yeah, straight lines. But you turn it in your hand, you see like the angle of the pocket clip matches the bevel of the cut to the handle. Like everything is just lining up and intersecting and crisscrossing in really elaborate ways to make up such a simple shape. And it's really masterful. Like truly, it's manufacturing at the highest level. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like this from Shirogorov or any of the other makers known for delivering incredible knives.
That's a high compliment, and I scoffed initially in my head, but as soon as I flipped it, I was like, that's not that far off.
No.
That feels great. They can almost call it the vanishing point, the way it's got the the cool perspective thing going on. It's got their composite blade technology. This isn't just an applique or something, or a finish difference here. This is a crew-wear blade. This is not crew-wear. And then the back, I don't know.
I think the back is like 14C or something.
Yeah,
but
give it, they don't have that mark, but the cutting edge, is crew-wear, centered together. Serial number 18. So I was gonna say like we could see the serial number, whether it was more or less than 100, but you got a low serial there.
Yeah, the first 50 were Blade Show, and then they sold the rest of them like on their website.
On Kershaw's website, yeah. It is a very, very cool knife. Not at all my cup of tea for carry, but the technical excellence there is excellent. The sub frame lock, we didn't mention the sub frame.
Oh yeah, lots of cool Kershaw signature technologies and a design that it's unforgettable.
Yeah, it's kind of taking some of the things that they've been known for in the past and leading into the future.
Yeah. And you know why I carried this a lot in the end? Because the pocket clip is great. It worked.
Yeah.
So it was no trouble to just slip this in the pocket. Worked great. And I didn't use it all that much, to be totally honest, but I did use it and I did carry it a lot. So just a beautiful knife that I'm kind of proud to own. Yeah. Can't wait to see what's coming from Kershaw.
Excellent. Bring us another knife out of your
bag.
bag.
All right, we'll go 2 for 2.
2 for 2.
Let's change gears radically here with the Stabnana, the Heretic Stabnana.
This is true. I have seen him carry this knife. This is not a gimmick.
Another one that, frankly, even harder to use than the Tilt, because this hawkbill blade is it's kind of just a ripper,
Yeah, and this was our KnifeCenter exclusive underripe Stabnana.
Yeah, with the cool green handles
and custom Cerakote.
Yeah,
for the blade.
I carried this literally for just short of a month straight. Almost, I participated in sort of like a month-long carry one knife challenge, and this was the one I picked. I thought it would be an actual legitimate challenge to carry something this wild and sort of like extreme and obscure for a month and try to use it for everything. But you know what?
How did that go?
A sharp edge still works.
Yeah.
The typical food prep tasks I was trying to do with it were awkward at best.
I bet you could make a big old pile of zoodles.
The tip got a lot of wear, just like dragging across cutting. But you know what? It did the job. And I had so much fun with this knife. The thing that made it easy to carry is just what a hilarious and awesome knife this ended up actually being.
Yeah.
OTFs, for me at least, are already a little absurd. Just in the degree of mechanical complexity you have to make the thing work. And, I mentioned food prep. I do a fair bit of food prep with my pocket knives, and that usually puts OTFs right out of the equation off the bat because they're so hard to keep clean. Yeah, there's just a lot of, in my mind, unnecessary complication inherent to OTFs. But
how fun are they?
So fun. And this one is, Heretic makes like one of the best OTF knives on the market. The action is spectacular.
Yeah.
The switch is very comfortable. Like the springs aren't difficult.
Too much.
Yeah. And the thing that's funny about this OTF is that it's curved. Like, you know, to just state the obvious.
Yeah.
There's
Oh, that's what that's doing.
yeah. Every time it springs out, it's kind of like, how did that fit in there? That's absolutely wild that it works.
Right.
But
it does.
It does, and it looks like a banana. And so I carried it a lot. It's just it makes you smile, and then you put it in your pocket, and you day's
fun.
over before you know it. Mm-hmm.
Well, so I was saving this for the end. I've got some honorable mentions in here. I'll just throw this out real quick before showing my next knife, because we're talking about OTFs. I didn't carry this knife as much day to day, but I did use it a fair bit, and that is the new drop point version.
Ooh, nice.
Of the Benchmade Shootout. You can see I've got some wear on the crew wear blade there.
That does put some practicality back in the OTF world.
Yeah, it's one of those few. We're starting to see more of it. Like OTFs aren't just for like tactical operators anymore. We're seeing more like slicing friendly blade grinds, and I cut a lot of cardboard with this knife. Yeah, some pretty massive piles, and that's what cardboard's pretty abrasive stuff, and that's what really put the wear on that blade this year. So that's an honorable mention, though. Like I said, I didn't really like carry that so much. The reason I asked you if you had a theme is because I kind of, as I'm looking at what got the most pocket time, I see a theme for me, and that is 3-inch knives, like that 3-inch blade. I know in previous years I've talked about you know searching for my bigger knives, and my Presidio 2 from Benchmade still gets use when I want to reach for a bigger knife. But I carried round about a 3-inch blade a lot this year, and part of that might have been because I was working on the ideas for this Maximal.
Little A/B testing.
Yeah, you know, you got to know how it stacks up against other things out there. And this is what I mean by a great knife, and I truly do believe that this knife I'm about to show is a pretty great knife. It just didn't hit my list, and that's the Kizer Drop Bear. I haven't even cleaned this one off from its last use. This is the KnifeCenter exclusive version that we had. Unfortunately, it's out of stock now, but we had burlap micarta handles S90V. Great knife. Where it doesn't quite hit what I wanted the Maximal to be is price. They did come out with some less expensive versions just a couple months ago.
That's right.
At the $70-some mark.
But
before that, they were around 100 starting out. Maybe 80 or maybe 90 or so on like the real low end of it. So it's cool to see some more affordable versions, but price, and also I wasn't out to design a tactical knife, but it had to be just tactical enough, if you know what I mean. This is not quite as pokey and not as much finger protection as I would have liked. And that's actually something I like for novice users as well, a little more finger guard.
Yeah.
That you see on there. Just a nice little safety thing. But the Drop Bear is a great knife. It's got a very different action to what CJRB is doing. It's got a more just free, glassy action with the
more
ball
like
bearings there.
Fluid.
Yeah. Doesn't have that same kind of pop that they managed to get for the thumb flick. But this is one that also, it's a small knife. It's a 3-inch blade, but it cuts bigger when you need it to, because you've got a full-length handle right there. I mean, that's slightly larger than average hands, getting all 4 fingers on that, and you can really push into that cut. Deep carry pocket clip. You can proving I carried it with the wear on that. That's a great knife, and I use that a good bit. The S90V holds a great edge.
The Drop Bear is so good. Earlier this year I did like a ranking of my entire pocket knife collection, and this was near the top.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, it ranked above, it was right next to the Benchmade 940, like right above the Benchmade 940, which is, that's
bold statement.
Bold statement, my personal opinion, but the only time I would reach for a Benchmade 940 over the Drop Bear is if I needed something a little dressy, because the Benchmade, kind of has that elegant, strange but elegant look to it. The Drop Bear is just a better worker.
It's a better cut. The geometry is better for slicing.
Yep. It's an elite design.
Yeah.
But I can see why it wouldn't work for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, it doesn't quite hit. And it's maybe like, a more minuscule percentage of the people that it might not apply to for my universal list. But it's a great knife. If you have no pretensions of tacticality, I can't recommend the Drop Bear enough. It's a great knife, especially now that there's like some $70 options for the more budget conscious buyers. Standard versions are a bit over $100. You get to see some fancier versions at not terrible prices. I hope we managed to bring this back somehow, because this was like $140.
Yes, that's a good price for S90V.
Fantastic price.
And these polished burlap scales are also really nice looking.
Yeah, they turned out real good. So I love that knife. That saw a good bit of pocket time for me. What else have you got?
All right.
Lay it on us.
Let's see here. What did I bring? Oh, okay. This next knife is easily the knife I carried the most. Used the most. This was the knife that was in my pocket in between other knives,
Yeah.
I just kept coming back to this one.
Yeah.
And that's the Arno Bernard iMamba.
You had to do it.
I mean, yeah, this was my most carried knife of the year. Such a remarkable design. Like,
man.
It's beautiful. It is. It does a lot of things that I don't normally like in knives. Namely, it's a flipper and a frame lock, which are two things that usually I just don't necessarily connect with. But that one, I absolutely did.
It is such a gorgeous knife.
I think part of what makes it work for me is the fact that it both operates really, really well as a flipper, but it has the solidity of something like a simpler thumb stud operated bushing type frame lock, like a Sabenza is what I'm thinking.
I mean, Arno Bernard's South American, like Chris Reeve was. South African.
Yeah.
Sorry. Key difference there. South African, just like Chris Reeve, and there's something in the water there. Like this is clearly of like to something like the Sabenza. Like the levels of quality are there. It's got that same kind of rides the line between dressy elegance and workhorse solidity. And there's a couple knives in Seth's collection that I'm extremely jealous of. And there's a Hinderer you've got that I want, and this is another one that is just superlative.
It's so good. It's so good. I don't think I've ever handled a flipper that feels as solid in use as that one does. And I think it has to do with the way they built the pivot. I do think it has a Sabenza-like bushing or they're not using ball bearings, at least. You can get these with ball bearings, but this one does not have it. And yeah, I really connected with this. The drop point blade is perfect for an all-arounder. The pocket clip is flawless. It just made it easy to slip in my pocket when I didn't want to think about what other knife, how it was going to work. And boy, yeah, just kept coming back to this one. And it helps that it is so beautiful too. These are some burl, I think it's desert ironwood burl inlays. Just gorgeous, but also still a great hardworking knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It is. There's no other word for it. It's utterly fantastic. Show us something else.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Well, let's see here. You know what? 2024 was the year of David T. Anderson designs for the knife market, but also for my collection, because I purchased one of these. The Nordsmith.
I'm like such a proud papa right now.
Yeah,
I can't believe. Go, please.
This is the camp kitchen knife.
The Canteen knife.
Yes, thank you.
From Nordsmith Knife. Clearly, it made an impression on him.
Well, the name aside, it is the camp kitchen knife that I guess like I had not quite conceptualized, but it was this vague thing out there that I knew I kind of wanted. Like when you're camping, you want something that you can use to cook with, because camping and cooking must go together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Beautiful place to make a meal.
Best cup of coffee I've ever had is waking up on a cold morning at camp, and that first sip as it warms your bones. It could be not the greatest cup of coffee you've ever tasted, but it is the greatest cup of coffee you will ever have. Anyway.
Yeah. Set and setting.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, you're at camp, you want a kitchen knife, but you don't want to bring a kitchen knife because a kitchen knife is, it's a little too big, it's very flimsy. It doesn't do camp stuff.
And it's just one more thing, too.
Yeah. So you also want a knife that can be your fire making tool, that can be your woodworking, can do all those harder use, more robust tasks at camp. And before this knife,
and then mince some garlic.
Exactly. Before this knife, there were some designs that you could do both those things with, but that weren't specifically designed for it. And this was correct me if I'm wrong, but this was your first.
It was my first knife design. Yeah.
So even way back then, you were tuning into something like a hole in the market that you saw, needed a solution.
It was another thing that I wanted, that I wanted to exist, like the Maximal. It is something that I couldn't find in other products, and there are some things that have come out since then that are similar and can kind of get the same thing across. I still think this does what I want it to do better than some of those other knives. Again, not to take anything away from them, but it's your camp knife first, but it's got to be able to do fine mincing and cutting board work at the same time, because I don't want to bring one more thing when I head out.
Yeah, especially if you're doing not car camping, but a several day trip or something where you're living out of a backpack for a while. You can't bring a bunch of tools. You need to keep it as minimal as possible, and this could be your one tool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a survival knife, but I don't know, I'd be happy to have this.
Yeah, I mean, it's strong enough to baton wood with down into kindling. You get a little extra length due to the handle design there. You can do some light chopping with it. You're not chopping a tree down really with it, but you could get some light chopping work done. It's a solid tool.
Yeah, the handle's a little bit oversized to give you a good second, a solid second position back here
without
for
being
more
a
leverage.
two-handed grip. Yeah.
Yep.
And when you do that, it actually brings the tip down a little bit in your hold, so it squares up this area for a more even strike when you're doing that light chopping as well.
Yeah, it works great, and as a kitchen knife, I've actually gotten that. I frankly have not used this camping or even really outside at all. I got it pretty late in the year. It was a little cold to go out and try to plan an adventure such as that. But no, this has been hanging out in the kitchen.
Season begins for me, man.
Yeah. I don't mind being warm, but cold, I can't. I just can't.
I'm the opposite.
I mean, you can see how I'm dressed in here. But no, this got its testing done in the kitchen. I was really going to challenge the kitchen part of Camp Kitchen with this at first.
Well, I mean, it does all of that stuff. It's got enough distance here. You can get the clearance for your fingers. It slices great. You can break down meat with it really well. It makes a great hunting knife. I've had customers of mine who've one guy up in Alaska skinned and quartered a whole elk in the field with one. Using just one of those. And
dang.
It can do it. It works.
Yeah. So this is a pretty, I don't know, I was almost going to call it an advanced design, the way that you sort of crammed so much stuff into this. This is not someone's first knife, right? There's a lot about this that reaches back to knife history with the Nesmuk inspiration and pulls from different categories of knives, kitchen and camping and survival.
It is this weird hybrid for sure.
But like a lot of my favorite knives that I've had kind of shown off in these videos in years past, that pull from a bunch of different places that end up being somewhat strange, they still, they pull it off.
Yeah.
That to me is my favorite thing. When knives can go there, they can be strange and draw from all different sorts of fonts of inspiration and then still like go to task and work in a way that pleasantly surprises you or even teaches you something new about like what knives can do or how they should feel or work. Yeah.
Got me blushing, man.
Yeah, man. It's a great knife.
I had no idea he was bringing this to the table today, so I'm very happy.
And it's a great weird knife too. So that's what pushed it really up into the top 5 of the year for me. A great weird knife, all sorts of different inspirations that just makes a great coleslaw or great salsa. Whatever I've been using it to make, it does it.
Well, thank you. That's really gratifying to hear. I'm glad you're getting use out of it. And I'm glad also you stretched the definition of top 5 to not just our most carried, but most used. Because I also brought a kitchen knife.
Oh, good.
Today. So I'll bring that out now. It is the Joy of Cooking Santoku knife. These things come with the blade safe case right there. The pedigree of design on this knife, the materials on it, and the price are just outstanding all around. So first off, this was designed by dear friends of mine. It's the Joy of Cooking knife, which is Ethan Becker, of course, made by Dogwood Custom Knives. Now, it's not a custom knife. These are sort of a mid-tech or high-end production. But Dan Eastland at Dogwood and Ethan Becker, both dear friends of mine in the knife industry. Dan makes and designs great kitchen knives. Ethan, of course, like his design chops, especially on the kitchen stuff, not even just the Becker Knife and Tool survival stuff, is unimpeachable. And it came together on a knife that's just simply fantastic. You've got a great design. It's superbly balanced. It's got a great rock on the cutting board. That's a big thing I learned from Ethan specifically on how to look for that. S35 VN steel, G10 handles, made in the USA with a blade safe for $200, which is the same price as like a Wusthof Icon. Their 8-inch chef knife Wusthof Icon is $200, and you're getting inferior steel to this. You're getting simpler handles, less durable handles. This is all internally pinned and sealed up with epoxy, so there's no moisture getting in there. It's super easy to keep clean. It is just, the value is incredible for this. It really is, and it just works phenomenally well. I may have talked about this a little bit before. Seth knows this fact. My primary set of kitchen knives, I have 2 main chef knives. I've got a 6.5-inch custom Big Chris Cook's knife, which I love, and I've got a 10-inch a prototype Becker kitchen knife actually that was made by Camillus way back in the day. The 10-inch size never saw full production, but I managed to weasel one away from Ethan's personal collection at one point. And the cook's knife does a great push cut, but it's not a great rocker, really. It's one of my favorite knives of all time, but it just doesn't do that. So when I want to do rocking chops, I like the size or the ability of the 10-incher to get really broad swaths of chopping done on a cutting board. And that 10-incher does that really well. And it's a great combination to have the more manageable size and the bigger, more powerful size. But if I had to condense and only have one chef-style knife, chef Santoku, whatever you want to call it, this would be it. I mean, it does everything so admirably well. I literally can't say enough good things about this product right here.
Nice. Yeah, the balance is really nice on this. I like this little feature here, little scoop there.
Yeah, it lets you get a little bit closer behind the edge back here. And some people are saying oh, the handle's too small, but if you're holding a chef knife the way the chef knife should be held, the handle's not really there for a grip. The handle's there to balance the blade. That's why it exists in any design you look at. A chef knife's handle should be the counterweight to the long blade out there. And as you can see, the balance on this is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, the value is undeniable too. I'm with you there 100%. These have come and gone pretty quickly in the batches we've got in. And every time they've been in, I've been tempted to get one and maybe I'll have to make it happen next year.
Yeah. Like I said, if I could only have one chef knife, there's no question what it would be. It would absolutely be this one right here.
It's a cool mix of those different profiles you're talking about, like with the Santoku or like the Kuretsuke kind of tip.
It's got the Kuretsuke tip, yeah, or the K tip, because we Americans don't know how to pronounce some Japanese words sometimes.
I couldn't do it.
I think I got it pretty well, but yeah, the K tip style, but it's got that rockability that you would see on a good Santoku.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
Almost like a continuous curve to the edge. It flattens out a good bit towards the end, but it does give you that soft landing for the rock
and
that you're talking about.
That's Ethan's influence on that design right there. He has got that. The chef knives, so that prototype 10-incher I have, eventually that design, they produced a set with Essie, actually made them.
Really?
The Essie Becker kitchen knives were made. And it's got that, what the 10-incher was, they turned into like a 7-inch chef knife in that set, but it also had a Santoku, and he's got that curve so dialed in that it's like you might as well not make anything else. Like it just works so well.
Yeah. You know what this is? This is a great knife guy kitchen knife because it's got the knife guy specs. It's got the S35 VN steel. It's got like a G10 handle. Like there are things about this that set it a little apart from your typical kitchen knives. It doesn't have the 3 rivets, doesn't have the bolster, it doesn't have the typical look of the type of kitchen knives that I think a general consumer is looking for. Which is cool. I think it gives it a great personality. But also, like if you're tuned in to knife design and steel and the people behind this knife, I think it makes it even more special.
And it is just a special knife. It's phenomenal.
And being a Joy of Cooking kind of branded product, I hope it can bring some of the, can bring people over to the knife guy side.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're excellent. They're truly excellent. Let's see, you've got 4 on the table. I've got 4 on the table. Do you want to take the last one, or do you want me to go?
I'll take the last one.
Okay.
This last one was a last-minute edition. Last night I was putting the things together. I had these 4 pretty set, and I was trying to think back on the year, like, okay, what did I really carry? What did I really use? And this next knife kind of hit my collection very late in the year. It was a Christmas present, in fact. But
so by percentage of time, it doesn't quite add up, but from like mind share percentage is kind of what you're calculating this one off of?
Yep.
Okay.
And there's something wrong with me, David.
We're both here, of course.
There's something wrong with me. One of my favorite things is to be proven wrong. Like, it just satisfies me so much.
I don't know where this is going, but I'm looking forward
it's just,
to it.
I get a weird, I don't know. It's cool to see a preference I have like totally undermined by something, and just the pleasure of being taken by surprise by that.
The cool thing about that too is like when you're proven wrong by something, you realize you've grown.
Yeah, maybe that's
Which
it.
is
Maybe
always
it's
a cool thing,
egotistical too of me a little bit, like
you're like, I'm a better person.
Yeah,
now.
now I'm. So this is the knife that proved me wrong this year, and that's the Elementum utility. I have been a Elementum not fan for as long as the Elementum's been around. It's not that I don't like the Elementum. I just don't.
You don't love it.
I don't love it.
Yeah.
I get it, but I don't love it, and I certainly didn't need it. Like, it has a middle of the road. Can we call it a milquetoast character? It's very globular.
The way I like to describe.
I'm really trying not to be mean.
I mean, we can't discount the success that knife has had because
it does not matter at one bit what I think of it. It's such a good.
I think it has a sort of refined, whether by intent or by accident, a refined generic quality to it.
Generic, yeah.
Which is part of what I think has given it such a broad appeal. It almost slips into any scenario you can kind of think of.
Yeah. It's a great gift knife.
For that consumers can think of. They're like, oh yeah, that'll work for me. It does that really well. It
cuts well. It's a very reassuring feel in the hand. You got the flipper tab for a nice guard. I think it's a great first knife. It does a lot of things well. I'm trying to make up for the slander I just threw at it. Because truly, I get what makes it good, and I understand it. I don't love it.
It just never spoke to you.
No. And there was a part of me inside that was like, the Elementum, why is it such a continued success? Like,
you almost wish like a different knife could have had that success.
Yeah. I do look at a lot of other knives and see like, why wasn't it this one?
Why couldn't it be this one? Yeah.
So I was pleasantly surprised to find myself really, really enjoying the Elementum utility. And arguably, it's a whole different knife. I mean, it's a different size. It's a button lock instead of the original liner lock. But obviously the biggest change is this utility blade here. It's got the flipper and the thumb studs, which both work great. It's very kind of addicting to play with. But it improved my opinion of utility knives and of the Elementum. Because I found myself using this just constantly ever since Christmas. This has done the most cutting, and there's been a fair bit of it, all those boxes that need to be broken down after Christmas. It's great, and what sets it apart from your typical utility knife design for me is the fact that the whole edge is exposed.
And it's funny because to some folks that's a detraction from the design.
I was with them at first.
Because folks might like to flip around the blade. When one side gets dull, you can flip it around and feel like you have a fresh edge.
There's that, and then also just assessing it like on paper without using it, I assumed that this kind of like backstrap portion of the blade would be...
The holder, essentially.
Yeah, holder. It would get in the way of cuts. It's this awkward transition. It didn't seem like it would make it a very effective cutting tool, which after all is what you want a utility blade to do. But in use, it proved me wrong. I found that it wasn't necessarily slicing over the holder portion, but what it did allow me to do was to initiate cuts back here with the heel of the blade like I would with a typical EDC knife, just like getting started with that part, and then carry that cut forward to where it wasn't obstructed anymore. And
that way you're really using the whole edge at that point too, and getting the most out of it.
Yeah. It made it cut much more like an ordinary pocket knife, which worked for me better. Utility knives do their job fine, but you have, having such a short part of edge exposed, you have to really kind of like track your cut along with whatever you're cutting perfectly. More carefully, yeah. And this allowed me to just kind of rip through stuff a little more thoughtlessly. And as a result, it was a better utility knife.
Fair enough.
It cut with the kind of just like careless, just get it done. Who cares about this edge?
Careless abandon, just starts slashing at mounts of cardboard. Awesome.
So yeah, it was a knife I was pleased to have enjoyed so much. And I recommend it wholeheartedly, even if, like me, you find the Elementum to be,
generic.
A little bit generic.
Be nice.
Yeah, the Elementum utility is in a whole different category. I don't even think it's generic anymore. Like, there's not a lot of stuff that has the operation of a real refined modern pocket knife with the button lock and the flipper action and the thumb stud and the pocket clip, the great deep carry pocket clip, but with a utility knife blade holder. Heck, this would even be a great travel knife, just pop that blade out to get through security and then pick up a new one at your destination, and you'll still have a knife that you can fidget with, that can kind of scratch that itch of what you want a pocket knife to cut like, but in a way that's just easy to take anywhere and replace as you need and not have to worry about. So yeah, great design. I don't even know if it actually came out this year, but
it was, yeah. I remember they debuted it at Blade Show West in 23, but it didn't become available at dealers until a little bit later, I think.
Yeah.
I think. That's fun. Should be noted that even unloaded utility blade holders might not get through security anymore. They actually issued an updated ruling on that at some point.
Really?
Yeah, which is unfortunate. Again, we're not lawyers, and we cannot give you any legal or TSA advice, but there you go. That's my understanding of it anyway, as David C. Anderson, the dude, not David C. Anderson, the KnifeCenter employee. Just make that clear distinction here, real quick. All right, I've got one more. The other one that I carried the most. This is one that got it got most of its carry at sort of the beginning of 2024, before I got the final Pocket Tangos in hand. Basically, this was what I was carrying for a while, and this is one that sort of started as a mod project actually.
Okay.
So it's not an off-the-shelf offering. It's something I,
Cobbled together?
did up. Cobbled together is actually a rather apt description when we describe it. It is the handle is a Spyderco Para 3.
Oh.
You remember this.
Yeah.
The blade is modified. So what happened here is at some point years ago, I got in trade Paramilitary 2 that the handle was just really junked. Like it had been,
Twisted,
messed up, scratched. Like the screw holes for the pocket clip were stripped, so you couldn't even hold the pocket clip in right. But the blade was in remarkably good shape. So I carried that for a while. Like the handle was mangled up, but it was still usable, and it still had 2 pocket clip screws to hold the pocket clip. So I carried it for a while.
Yeah.
I got a good value on it in the trade, I think. But this past year, I'm looking around. I was like, I had some scales laying around, some Para 3 scales laying around. I had that PM2, which I have another PM2, so I stopped carrying that one as much. And I was like, I think they actually fit up. And I put the blade in. I was like, oh, the blade actually fits in a Para 3 handle. So I decided, I tracked down some internals and popped the scales on it. Kept the clip from the old mangled handle, but new pocket screws, because the aesthetics of the clip worked really well.
Clip looks good.
I was like, let me turn this PM2 or this PM2 blade into a drop point Para 3, and this is the result right here.
Nice.
And it turned out really nice. Shaved down the whole back here all the way back to the jimping, so you didn't have a weird transition, since this was a coated blade. You get a more robust tip than the standard Para 3, and a slightly higher tip too. I actually have my my other Para 3 over here. You can see the angle of the blade coming down is quite different. If I stack these up side by side, yeah, you can see the difference kind of right there. So it's a little bit more of a straightforward knife. You get more strength at the tip. As mentioned, you can see how much thicker mine is right there. Again, not that the standard Para 3 is bad. I still have that and enjoy it, but this was something a little different. And Jason, our buyer, when I showed it to him, he said, it still feels Spyderco. So I guess I hit the shape right enough, I guess. The only thing it's lacking is the detent spot is different on this blade to the internals here. So I don't have any sort of real close. So it's pretty loose there, and I never got around to just drilling a new divot. I was going to, and I haven't gotten around to it. I still will at some point. So you don't get it's harder to Spidey flick. You got to put a little wrist into it.
Sort of a centrifugal deployment.
But I carried that for, I think, a bit over a month solidly at that point, and it's fun. It was cool.
Yeah, the lockup's perfect. I mean, if it works, it works, right?
Yeah.
And it fits in there, and you got your drop point shape. It's not any short. It feels a little more snub nose, but I think that's just because it's
just the shape. Yeah,
shape.
It winds up feeling a little bit broader, I think, as a result. And the reason I wanted to
kind of makes it a burlier knife.
It's a bit more beefy feeling, yeah. And not that the PM2 or the Para 3 was ever, dang on naming scheme here. The Para 3 ever felt like it was a wimpy knife, because it certainly is not. But this just leans into more. It's the same reason some people will reach for the Shaman over the Mannix.
Yes.
From Spyderco's lineup. It's got a bit more thickness at the spine. It feels a little more burly.
So you made a Paramilitary 2.5.
Something like that.
Yeah. I remember you brought this in, I think the day you did the test fitting. I don't know if it was that day or not, but you had the full-size Paramilitary 2 blade with the Para 3 handles, and you folded it up, and the
was way out there, yeah.
point was sticking way out, and it's like, I don't know if that's going to work. But yeah, man.
You just got to cut it down.
Huh.
What was really funny was putting the Para 3 blade on the PM2 handle, because then you have this really big long handle. This little blade up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun project. It was definitely a cool thing. Even Eric Glesser liked it. I showed him photos at SHOT Show
really?
last year, and
Nice.
he had a twinkle in his eye. I thought it was neat. Well, we've been going pretty long, so we should probably wrap things up. I'll just real quick throw my honorable mentions out. Juice S2, my most carried multi-tool. Funnily enough, being a Swiss Army knife carrier for so long, I've carried a lot of Leathermans this year, and my Leatherman Arc has got a fair bit of use, but around the house really. Like whenever I'm working, heading out, cutting grass, working on the yard, whatever, I usually throw the Arc in the pocket and do some stuff there. But yeah, this technically the Juice S2 I probably carried more than anything because it's always riding shotgun to any of the other stuff here.
Nice.
But we won't get into that right now. Any other honorables to throw in, or?
No, I could go open up my little tool bag I keep in my
Vicinity.
pretty much in my vicinity always. I've got the Victorinox Compact. That's been a constant companion. Lots of Victorinox actually. The Victorinox Bit Kit was an addition I made this year. That's fantastic. I still think it's the best.
That's pretty great.
Kind of bit kit on the market. Yeah, maybe we can throw some pictures up as I'm saying it, but yeah, no, these for me were my top 5. Maybe not like my favorite new releases or the best knives in my collection, but definitely the ones I had the most fun carrying this year, the ones that I carried literally the most this year, the ones that kind of surprised me. So
these are the ones that did the most for us over the last year. I think is the best way to describe it. So, well, we'll go ahead and leave links to what we can of these things down in the description if you want to get your hands on them as well. Check out that link. Let us know your top 5 knives of the year, whether it's top 5 new releases or the things you carried the most this year. I'd love to hear what people are actually using. That's always a fun thing. When you hit those links over the description, don't forget about our Knife Rewards program, in addition to new expanded payment options, including Sezzle, if you wish. And that's all for now. I'm David C. Anderson.
I'm Seth V.
And that's Thomas behind the camera. He didn't say much today, but he's over there.
I bought car parts and baby formula this year.
Yep, Thomas and I are dads, and you know what that means. It's it's December 31st when this video goes up. So you know what I can say as a dad right now? See you next year.